My name is Nora Coleman. I'm 28 years old, and I grew up in what I thought was an ordinary, loving family in Roswell, Georgia. I used to believe that family dinners were the warmest moments of the week, a time when we shared stories, laughter, and love. But one evening, everything I believed about family completely shattered. The comforting smell of roasted chicken filled the room, but the atmosphere quickly turned heavy. My parents sat across from me, their faces glowing with excitement, as they announced something that knocked the breath out of my chest. They had bought my brother a Tesla worth $100,000. My jaw dropped, and the smug smile on my brother's face told me everything I needed to know. Meanwhile, I was barely getting by, buried under student loan debt, working late nights just to keep the lights on. With all the courage I had left, I asked if they could help me pay off a portion of my debt, but their response cut like a knife: "Nora, you don't deserve any help. Be independent." My brother smirked, twirling his brand new car keys in his fingers like a trophy. My heart sank as their words reopened old wounds from years of being overlooked. I tried to speak up, but my dad's cold, sharp glare shut me down. "You'll figure it out," he said bluntly. My mom nodded in agreement, her expression empty and distant. I stood up, hands trembling, and walked away from that dinner table, vowing never to return. That night, I blocked their numbers, deleted their emails, and cut off all contact. The pain of their rejection burned deep, but it also ignited a fire inside me. I didn't just want to survive anymore. I wanted to rise above and prove them wrong. 6 months later, my brother drove past my $10 million mansion and texted my dad crying, "Why does she get to have that?" But what happened after that message didn't just change my family, it forced them to confront a harsh truth they were never prepared to face. And that was only the beginning of what was yet to come. Before we dive deeper into my story, leave a comment below and tell me, what time is it right now and which city are you watching from? I want to know how far my story has traveled. Growing up in Roswell, I always felt invisible. My brother Lucas was the center of attention in our family, lavished with gifts that made my eyes widen. At 15, he got a sleek gaming console complete with every accessory imaginable. By 17, our parents Harold and Ellen handed him keys to a brand new motorcycle, their faces glowing with pride as he revved it in our driveway. Their bakery in Roswell, famous for its peach cobbler and red velvet cupcakes, funded Lucas's every whim. He'd strut around showing off his latest gadgets while I patched together outfits from clearance racks, my piggy bank empty from buying school supplies. College was my chance to break free, but it came with a heavy price. At 18, I earned a full academic scholarship to Georgia Tech for computer science, a dream I'd fought for alone. With no help from dad or mom, I took on 2 jobs to cover what the scholarship didn't: waitressing at a greasy diner on weekends and shelving books at the campus library during the week. I'd drag myself to class after late shifts, my eyes burning from lack of sleep, surviving on instant noodles and determination. I'd call home hoping for a kind word, only to hear Mom say, "You've got this, don't you?" Dad once mailed a check for $20, scribbling, "Make it work." Lucas, meanwhile, got a custom-built PC for his marketing classes, no strings attached. My hard work paid off in ways I never expected. I aced every exam, landing on the dean's list every semester. At 19, I won a regional coding competition, my algorithm for data sorting earning praise from professors. I mailed my parents a framed certificate, my heart racing with hope they'd notice. It came back unopened, marked "Return to sender." At my graduation, I stood on stage top of my class, scanning the crowd for familiar faces. Lucas showed up an hour late, mumbling about a delayed flight, while Mom and Dad stayed home, citing a busy day at the bakery. Their absence carved a hole in my chest, but it also sharpened my resolve. That moment on the stage, clutching my diploma, I realized I didn't need their approval. Their neglect had taught me to rely on myself, to push harder than anyone expected. I wasn't just the overlooked kid from Roswell anymore. I was someone with a fire inside, ready to build a future they couldn't ignore. Lucas might have had their gifts, but I had something stronger, a hunger to prove my worth, not to them but to myself. That hunger became my compass, guiding me toward a life they'd never understand. After walking away, I threw myself into work. I landed a job at a small healthcare tech startup in Roswell, a scrappy outfit with big dreams of revolutionizing hospital data systems. The office buzzed with coders hunched over laptops, whiteboards scribbled with algorithms, and the faint hum of ambition. I was hired as a junior developer, eager to prove I could hold my own. My first week I stayed late, poring over lines of code, determined to make a mark in a field where innovation was currency. The team was lean, just 10 of us, but the stakes felt sky high, hospitals needed better tools, and I wanted to deliver. My project was HealthSync, an app I pitched to streamline patient records across departments. I saw its potential: clearly real-time updates to cut errors, a clean interface for nurses, and secure data storage for doctors. I spent days sketching wireframes, nights debugging code, my desk littered with energy drink cans. The challenge was daunting. Integrating complex hospital systems wasn't easy, but I thrived on it. Every line of code felt like a step toward rewriting my story, one where I wasn't defined by my family's neglect. I'd catch myself smiling at my screen, lost in the rhythm of creation, building something that could matter. One rough evening, when doubt crept in, I met Katie Walsh, my old college friend, at a coffee shop. Over steaming lattes, I poured out my hurt, how Lucas's smugness and my parents' coldness still haunted me. Katie listened, her eyes steady, and said, "You're stronger than their rejection. Keep going." Her words hit hard, pulling me back from the edge of self-pity. She reminded me I wasn't alone, that my worth wasn't tied to Harold or Ellen's approval. That night, I went home and coded until dawn, fueled by her encouragement. To stay grounded, I started seeing Dr. Linda Ross, a therapist recommended by a coworker. In her quiet office, I unpacked years of feeling second best. Dr. Ross didn't sugarcoat things, she challenged me to channel my pain into focus. "You've got a gift," she said, leaning forward. "Don't let their shadows dim it." She taught me to set boundaries, to stop seeking validation from people who'd never give it. Her advice became my anchor, helping me prioritize HealthSync over lingering resentment. With Katie's boost and Dr. Ross's clarity, I dove deeper into my work, ready to build something bigger than my past. At the startup, I found my calling. The office was a pressure cooker, coders hammering away at keyboards, whiteboards crammed with flowcharts, and the constant buzz of deadlines. Amid the chaos, Vanessa Holt stood out like a storm cloud. A senior developer with a knack for stealing the spotlight, Vanessa strode into meetings with a swagger, her ideas bold and her voice louder. She saw me, the new junior developer, as a rival to squash. During a sprint planning session, I suggested a feature to speed up HealthSync's data retrieval. Vanessa cut me off, her tone sharp. "That's cute, but let's keep it realistic." Her smirk lingered as the team shifted focus to her flashy proposal for a hospital branding app. I clenched my fists under the table, her dismissal igniting a fire in me. I wasn't here to play nice, I was here to win. HealthSync consumed my days and nights. I refined its core features: seamless syncing of patient charts across hospital systems, end-to-end encryption for data security, and a sleek dashboard tailored for stressed-out nurses. The technical challenges were brutal. Integrating with legacy hospital databases meant wrestling with outdated APIs and endless compatibility issues. I'd spend hours in the server room tracing bugs that crashed the system, my desk buried under sticky notes and empty coffee cups. A local clinic ran a beta test, and their feedback was golden: HealthSync cut their paperwork time by half. That validation pushed me to keep going, even when Vanessa hovered nearby, eyeing my progress. She'd drop comments like, "Hope your app doesn't crash under pressure," her smile thin and calculated. I brushed it off, focusing on perfecting the code, determined to make HealthSync bulletproof. One afternoon, Paul Bennett, our CEO, pulled me aside. Paul was a straight shooter, always in a pressed suit, his office lined with tech magazines and startup awards. He'd been tracking HealthSync's progress, and his words stopped me cold. "You're raising the bar for us all." He handed me the lead role on the app's next phase, a position Vanessa had been angling for months. Her face tightened when she heard her heels clicking as she stormed out of the meeting room. Paul's trust wasn't just a nod, it was a lifeline, proof I belonged in this high-stakes world. It fueled me to dive deeper, ignoring Vanessa's glares and the whispers she spread about my overambitious ideas. Vanessa didn't let up. She'd grill my code in team reviews, pointing out minor inefficiencies to undermine me. "Scalability's an issue here," she'd say, her tone dripping with fake concern. I countered with data from stress tests showing HealthSync could handle 10,000 users without a hitch. Every jab she threw, I parried with results. I'd work late running simulations to optimize performance, my laptop fan whirring like a jet engine. Katie stopped by, occasionally dropping off granola bars and cracking jokes about the office coffee. Her visits were a quick breather, never heavy with emotion. She knew I needed focus, not feelings. With every bug fixed and every feature polished, I wasn't just outworking Vanessa, I was carving out a legacy, proving I could rise above anyone who tried to keep me down. 6 months later, everything had changed. HealthSync had taken off, adopted by major hospitals across Georgia and beyond. Atlanta General, a sprawling medical center with thousands of patients, rolled out my app to streamline their emergency room workflows. Their head of IT emailed me directly saying, "Your app saved us hours daily." Soon, 3 more hospitals, Emory Piedmont and Northside, signed contracts integrating HealthSync into their systems. The app's real-time data syncing slashed errors in patient records, and its user-friendly interface won over doctors juggling hectic schedules. I'd walk into meetings with hospital admins, watching them nod as I demoed features I'd coded through sleepless nights. Each contract felt like a brick in the foundation of a life I'd built from scratch, far from the shadows of my family's neglect. The success brought wealth I'd never imagined. At 28, I became a millionaire, my bank account swelling with licensing fees and startup equity. I bought a $10 million mansion in Roswell's elite Kings Cove neighborhood, a modern estate with floor-to-ceiling windows and a sprawling backyard. Moving in was surreal. I ran my fingers along the marble countertops, marveling at how far I'd come from thrift store clothes and instant noodles. The house wasn't just a purchase, it was a statement. I'd proven I didn't need Harold or Ellen's approval to thrive. Every room, from the sleek home office to the sunlit kitchen, echoed my independence, a testament to years of grit. Amid the whirlwind, I met Sean Parker at a tech conference in Atlanta. Sean, a venture capitalist with a warm smile and sharp mind, approached me after my keynote on HealthSync's impact. We talked for hours, bonding over shared dreams of innovation. He admired my drive, saying, "You're unstoppable." Our dates turned into late-night walks, then a proposal under the stars at Piedmont Park. At 29, I said yes, my heart racing as he slipped a ring on my finger. Sean wasn't just a partner, he was proof I could build a future on my terms, not defined by my past. Katie threw a celebration party at my new mansion, transforming the backyard into a festive scene with string lights and a live jazz band. She bustled around coordinating caterers and joking with guests, her energy infectious. "You've earned this," she said, handing me a glass of champagne, her grin wide but free of heavy sentiment. The night was a blur of laughter, clinking glasses, and colleagues toasting HealthSync's success. Paul stopped by, raising a glass to my relentless vision. Even Vanessa sent a curt congratulatory email, though I sensed her envy between the lines. Standing in my new home, surrounded by people who believed in me, I felt a quiet triumph. No one could take this away. One quiet evening, my past resurfaced. I was lounging in my mansion's sunlit study, flipping through a tech magazine, when Sean tapped my shoulder and pointed outside. A black sedan crept past the wrought iron gates, its tinted windows glinting under the streetlights. I recognized it instantly, Lucas's car, the same one he'd driven to our last family dinner, its engine purring with smug confidence. He lingered, staring at the sprawling estate, his silhouette tense with resentment. Hours later, my phone pinged with a notification from a dusty messaging app I'd long abandoned. Lucas had sent a group text to Harold and Ellen, carelessly looping me in her place as a palace. "She's hoarding millions while we're stuck scraping by." The venom in his words hit like a slap, dragging me back to memories of his favored status-gifted motorcycles, while I patched thrift store jeans. I gripped my phone, my pulse racing, but held back from replying. Lucas didn't get to invade the life I'd earned. The next week, an email from Harold and Ellen arrived, its subject line Stark Family Matters. Their tone was syrupy at first, congratulating me on my impressive achievements, but it quickly turned sharp. "The bakery's struggling," Ellen wrote, her words laced with entitlement. "Your wealth could save it, don't you owe us that much?" Harold piled on, claiming they'd laid the groundwork for my success, as if their years of neglect had been some noble sacrifice. The audacity churned my stomach, flashes of ignored report cards, unreturned calls, and their absence at my graduation flooded back. I read the email twice, each word, a reminder of their indifference. I deleted it, my resolve, ironclad, refusing to let their greed taint what I'd built. I drew a line in the sand. With Sean by my side, I drafted a curt response. "I'm not responsible for your choices. Don't contact me again." I sent it, then blocked their emails and numbers, mirroring the wall I'd raised years ago after that disastrous dinner. Sean squeezed my hand, his quiet support grounding me as I shut the door on their demands. But my family wasn't done. Rumors started swirling in Roswell's tight-knit circles, vicious lies that painted me as a fraud. Lucas spread tales at local bars, claiming I'd conned investors to fund HealthSync. Ellen whispered to neighbors that I'd grown cold and greedy, abandoning my roots for wealth. A cousin posted online hinting I'd bribed hospital execs to secure contracts. The gossip stung, each rumor a dagger aimed at my integrity. I stayed silent, focusing on my work and my life with Sean, letting my achievements speak louder than their falsehoods. The lies spread like wildfire, twisting my journey into something ugly. A former colleague texted asking if I'd really stolen my startup's tech. A childhood friend called curious if I'd lucked into my fortune through shady deals. Each accusation tested my patience, but I refused to engage. My silence wasn't weakness, it was armor, forged from years of proving myself against their doubts. In my mansion's quiet study, surrounded by the life I'd crafted, I found peace no rumor could shatter. Tired of their accusations, I spoke out. The rumors Lucas, Harold, and Ellen spread had festered long enough, twisting my achievements into lies about fraud and greed. I sat at my desk, the glow of my laptop casting shadows across the room, and drafted a post for my social media. I poured out the truth, how my family had sidelined me for years, favoring Lucas while dismissing my efforts. I wrote about the nights I spent studying alone, the loans I paid off without their help, and how HealthSync was born from my sweat, not their support. I built this life despite them. I typed my fingers steady with resolve. I hit publish, and within hours the post exploded, shared across platforms by colleagues, friends, and strangers who saw their own struggles in my words. The fallout was swift. Roswell's tight-knit community turned on Gray's Bakery, Harold and Ellen's pride and joy. Customers dwindled, leaving the once bustling shop eerily quiet, its display cases half empty. Online reviews tanked, with locals citing my post and calling out the family's hypocrisy. "They don't deserve her help," one commenter wrote, their words echoing the sentiment of many. I drove by one morning, seeing Ellen behind the counter, her face drawn as she served a lone customer. Part of me felt a pang remembering her homemade cookies from childhood, but I pushed it aside. Their lies had consequences, and I wasn't responsible for their downfall. Lucas didn't take it quietly. He showed up at my company's office now, a sleek headquarters thanks to HealthSync's success, and cornered me in the break room. His voice was loud, drawing stares from coworkers. "You're destroying us," he shouted, accusing me of airing dirty laundry to ruin the family. His eyes blazed with the same entitlement I'd seen years ago when he'd flaunted his gifts while I scraped by. Paul, passing by, overheard and stepped in. "This is unprofessional," he said sharply, escorting Lucas out. Days later, I learned Lucas had been fired from his tech sales job at a rival firm. His outburst, combined with a history of complaints, sealed his fate. I felt no joy, only a quiet relief that his venom couldn't touch my world anymore. Harold and Ellen's financial troubles deepened. The bakery's revenue plummeted, and whispers spread that they'd taken out loans to keep it afloat. A neighbor messaged me saying Harold had been seen arguing with a bank officer outside their shop. Ellen, once the picture of small-town charm, avoided community events, her absence noted by Roswell's gossip mill. Their demands for my wealth had backfired, leaving them to face the wreckage of their choices. I stayed focused, working with Sean to plan our future, my success a shield against their fading influence. Standing in my new home, I felt free. The mansion's open windows let in a warm Roswell breeze, and Sean's laughter echoed from the kitchen as he tried a new recipe. We'd built a life together, planning our wedding with quiet excitement, our evenings filled with shared dreams and simple joys like movie nights on the couch. There was no room for reconciliation with my family. Their absence was a choice I'd learned to accept. I didn't need their approval to thrive, and with Sean by my side, I found a love that felt like home, unshaken by the past I'd left behind. Looking back, I realized my journey taught me the power of self-reliance and boundaries. Every late-night study session, every line of code I wrote for HealthSync was a step toward proving I could rise on my own. I learned that family isn't owed your success. Sometimes you have to draw a line to protect your peace. Setting boundaries wasn't betrayal. It was survival, a way to honor the person I'd fought to become. Those lessons shaped me, and I carried them like a compass, guiding me through challenges with clarity and strength. My family, meanwhile, faced the consequences of their actions. Gray's Bakery shuttered its doors, unable to recover from the community's backlash after my post. Harold and Ellen retreated from Roswell's social scene, their once lively shop now a faded sign on a quiet street. Lucas drifted, taking odd jobs after his firing, his pride too stubborn to admit fault. They hadn't changed, still clinging to resentment instead of growth. Their struggles were their own, a mirror of the choices they'd made long ago. To everyone who's followed my story, thank you. Your support, your messages, your shared experiences, they've meant the world. I've learned that our stories connect us, that speaking out can inspire others to find their strength. What's your story? How have you set boundaries or chased your dreams against the odds? Share your thoughts, I'd love to hear them. This journey was mine, but it's also yours, a reminder that we can all build a life worth celebrating.